There we go. All right, welcome everyone to the Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023 Plastow Planning Board meeting. And with that, we will do a roll call. Charlene?
Tom O'Berty.
Here?
Anybody know about Karen?
Yes, she's excused. She's not going to be here and she's excused.
Laura Millette.
Here.
Chuck Fowler.
Here.
Richard Anthony.
Here.
Tim Moore.
Here.
Bill Coy.
Here.
Jada Roche.
Here.
Victoria Healy.
Here.
Great. Okay. With that, we will do minutes review and approval. So we're reviewing the April 19th minutes. Any questions, comments, notations? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from April 19th.
Bill makes a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Chuck seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Was Richard, he was a voting member for that meeting, right? Richard, are
Yes,
you,
yes.
how do you vote? How say you on the minute?
You have to put them up as a,
That's right. So what we'll do is we'll have Tim Moore, just so we have a rotation going, right, with our alternate members. So we'll pass the meetings, the minutes 4-0-0. And with that said, we'll put Tim Moore as a voting member, moving from alternate to a voting member this evening. All right. And with that, we've invited Attorney Charles Cleary to join us. There were some questions from the board, and we fortunately were able to extend the invite. Some of the questions that I've shared with Mr. Cleary probably fall into the realm of what we would look at as applying a non-public session. So with that, I was going to ask Jen for some guidance, and I'm going to throw it at Victoria. And if anybody else has any experience with this, because I've not been involved in the non-public session as chair nor as a member of the board. So if anybody has any experience, I just want to make sure procedurally I get this correct. So with that, I believe that we have to vote to go into non-public. Is that correct? Do we need to name the RSA 91-A section 3, right?
Yep, and the reason.
Okay. We do have to specify the reason.
Yes.
And within that, if there's multiple reasons, do we specify both? If I anticipate there could be multiple reasons.
My understanding is you can.
Okay. And if it was to discuss any individuals, do we have to have that individual present?
No.
I don't believe so, right? Okay. So primary consideration is...
It all depends. Is it a town employee or?
I don't know. That's what I'm going to try to figure out. I mean, I guess we have to have that groundwork laid out so that we either do or don't approach that subject.
Right.
So the primary reason for now is RSA 91-A3, Section 2E, consideration or negotiation of pending claims or litigation, which has been threatened in writing or filed by or against this board or any subdivision thereof, or by or against any member thereof because of his or her membership therein, until the claim or litigation has been fully adjudicated or otherwise settled. Okay. And if there was another reason and it did involve an employee of the town, how does that process get handled?
You can specify both reasons. I know with the selectmen, if we have different reasons, we usually go into non-public for one reason,
Then
come out, go back into non-public for the second reason. So it makes the minutes a little cleaner
Okay.
and easier to manage. So you're not restricted to
right,
two subjects in one meeting.
and then when you have to approve those non-public meetings, it's a lot cleaner.
Okay. That sounds like the appropriate steps. In terms of, and I just want to make sure we have this clear, Minutes are taken by the minute taker, correct, if we go into non-public?
Yes.
However, we're not on film and we don't have any other members of the public, but everybody else present at this meeting at this time would be of the appropriate attendance, correct? We would not have to kick anybody out? Okay, all right. So with that in mind, we'll do a roll call to enter into non-public session. Charlene, do you want to do the roll call?
Yep.
And remember that Tim Moore is a voting member at this point?
Yep.
That time, okay.
Okay. Tom Alberti,
Yes.
Lori Millette,
Yes.
Chuck Flower.
Yes.
Fowler, sorry. Richard Anthony. Oh, do I
Richard
leave
is
him
not a
off?
voting member.
Okay, sorry. Tim Moore,
Yes.
Bill Coy,
Yes.
Jay DeRoche. Yes, no?
Jay's an alternate.
I'm
Okay.
non-voting.
And we'll enter non-public at 6:37 PM.
Do you want me present here for this conversation?
Is that appropriate? All right, we're back. And public session reconvened at 7:29 PM. All right. Someone want to make a motion to seal these minutes?
I'll make a motion to seal the minutes
Of the non-public session.
on public session.
Do I have a second?
Bill second?
Bill seconds. Because it is determined that divulgence of this information likely would,
Are you looking for one to pick?
yeah, we have to render a proposed action ineffective. There's three things on the notes that are listed. Affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, render a proposed action ineffective, or pertains to preparation or carrying out of actions regarding terrorism. Say it's not number three.
No.
It's not number 3.
So, may affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board. Would you say that's appropriate? Okay. All right. We're going to do roll call to seal the minutes.
For everybody. Or just
They
the
just
ones-
be a regular vote, right?
That's a regular.
Regular vote now.
No, this says roll call on my little notes.
All right, however you want.
Does it matter? I don't know.
Do it.
Go ahead, just roll call.
Why not? Tom Alberti,
Yes.
Lori Millette,
Yes.
Chuck Fowler,
Yes.
Richard Anthony.
No.
No, Tim Moore.
No?
Tim
Again?
Moore.
Sorry? Tim Moore. Yes. Bill Coy.
Yes.
It's Tim Moore's day.
Just ignore Richard, please. That's all we ask. Ignore him.
Okay.
All right, 500, motion passes. These minutes recorded by Charlene Gloria. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yep.
Great. All right. Very good. All right, so with that, we'll be back into our public meeting. I was relying on Jen to have Economic Development Master Plan Survey with an update. She and I are going to touch base in the coming days. She's asked if she could reconvene at the next meeting. We'll have some discussion. I don't know about the applications. We'll see. We'll have a quick look at what the applications are on deck and see if we, I think we can also include master plan work that evening.
We've got 3.
Oh, yeah. And when are we doing the site walk?
Sidewalks, that.
The
That's next
sidewalk
week.
is going
That's
to be
next
before the meeting.
Okay, so we're probably going to not do the economic development plan stuff that night unless it's a short update. I'll talk to Jen about that.
Yeah, I guess see how the applications go, right? But I'd say plan on it for the next workshop probably, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. And then Victoria has a quick, pretty quick, right, Victoria, on the stormwater drainage stuff presentation?
Yeah, I just have a short presentation.
So we can address that. And then we also have the board's rules of procedure, and we can bang those out quickly, I think. But so, yeah, Victoria, if you want to take it away, we'll talk about stormwater.
I have no idea how to use this.
Yeah, do we have any?
That's where Jay comes in.
Oh, does he? He's the guy?
Oh, God.
And this is why we keep Jay around.
Try to keep voting me in.
Am I just stealing you the HDMIs?
Yeah, just take,
Love those external hard drives, the little thumb drives where it's like, you got to hit the eject, you got to go to hit something eject before you actually pull it out. Otherwise,
I'll tell you, the best thing was the company I worked for years ago, Sun Microsystems, used to our badge. You'd have your presentation on your computer at your desk walk into a room, just plug in your thing and your presentation would pop right up. They were ahead of their time.
Oh, Richard, can you grab that corner? Thank you. And then,
See that?
is there lights that can dim that area?
Jay's getting his steps in.
Sorry, Jay. Yeah, I don't know any of this stuff.
Which one?
My notes are robbed of me doing it this way.
Your notes are robbed of you doing it that way, is that what you said?
Yes,
I saw something on the bottom there.
I know.
Where did it go?
I have notes.
There they are.
Oh, there they are.
They're,
Can you see them now?
I can see them.
Okay. Yeah, you can do it like that. We're good. You don't have to go full screen.
Let me- Obviously, I also set up animations. All right, so just wanted to introduce to you the New Hampshire Municipal Separation Storm Sewer General Permit, MS4. So just so that everyone is on the same page, I wanted to go over some, basic terms. Stormwater runoff is generated from rain and snowmelt that flows over land or impervious surfaces and does not soak into the ground. It often picks up pollutants such as oil, fertilizers, pesticides, dirt, sediment, trash, and pet waste deposits. And then it deposits these pollutants into local water bodies and groundwater. Stormwater runoff from developed land is the largest source of water pollution in New Hampshire.
Charlie, do you want Victoria to move that? Yeah, will that help?
Yeah, it would help.
There you go. I'm always thinking about you, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So impervious surfaces are paved streets, parking lots, rooftops, and even highly compacted soils. They prevent the natural soaking of rainwater into the ground. There is a difference between point and non-point pollution. Point pollution is something that's easily identifiable, such as a smokestack, discharge pipes, factories, power plants. You know where it's coming from, and you can point to it. A non-point source pollution is harder to identify, and this is what is often in stormwater runoff. It makes up components of anything and everything. Combined sewer, I'm sure that you all know what that is. It was stormwater and wastewater in the same pipe, and now we have sewer separation. So that when there are flood conditions, the untreated water doesn't go into our waterways and streets. And then for soil erosion, when stormwater is not managed properly, it can also have a negative impact on our natural substrates. Erosion reduces the quantity and quality of soil. Soil that is washed away ends up in rivers, streams, and lakes, along with whatever that has been applied to that soil, including agrochemicals and other pollutants that can contribute to harmful algae blooms and polluted waterways. When mismanaged stormwater puts additional burdens on our waterways, it can lead to physical damage to the stream channel, mobilization of excess sediments, and ecological harm to aquatic ecosystems and downstream habitats. So sediment controls are a great way to keep eroded soil on site when you are disturbing land. Examples of these are silt fences and wattles. And if you've never seen them, this is what they look like. My custom animation. So there are lots of negative effects of mismanaged stormwater. Flooding obviously can impact your home, businesses, roadways. and when your roadways are flooded, it can impact access to emergency medical services. Contamination can reach your drinking water supply, prevent you from safely accessing recreational swimming spots, or affect the local food that you may eat. Stormwater mismanagement causes all sorts of issues that could affect the aesthetics of Plastow, like erosion to scenic spaces or your lawn. It can cause foul odors, and it could push trash and debris all around. Fish and wildlife is more of a concern with areas with large bodies of water, but it can still have a domino effect on this local ecosystem and surrounding communities. Everyone knows the food pyramid and how each component is so influential, especially the bottom species. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is all of the above could combine and have a negative economic impact on your property values. If stormwater is not managed, then homeowners, business owners, and the town would have to respond to the damage after it's happened, which could potentially cost more money.
I think the first place we need to look at in town is that little cesspool in front of Market Basket, right? You know what I'm talking about, where the ducks are hanging out and they're glowing, and that thing needs some MS4 help.
All right. I wrote down your note. A popular term as of late is low impact development. Works to protect water quality, maintain pre-development site hydrology, and preserve existing vegetation, and minimize or disconnect impervious area by adding rain gardens, bioretention systems, tree box filters. There are various landscaping techniques. I have some examples here. So bioretention systems, such as rain gardens or landscaped depressions that treat on-site stormwater discharge from impervious surfaces such as roofs, driveways, sidewalks, parking lots, and compacted lawns. They're used to collect stormwater and filter it through a mixture of soil, sand, and or gravel. A rain garden is a sunken flat bottom garden that uses soils and plants to capture, absorb, and treat stormwater. This helps to reduce stormwater runoff and recharge groundwater. A tree box filter, which is this one right here, integrates sidewalk trees with stormwater collection, and that helps remediate pollutants that come off of vehicles. Other landscaping techniques could be as easy as the use of native and or salt-tolerant plants, or something more involved like a bioswale, which is essentially a garden that guides water, absorbing it as it goes, which is this one. And I think they look great. So a little bit about the MS4 permit. It is pretty complicated, but the planning board only has to deal with a small component of it. So I'm not going to get too much into the nitty-gritty details of it, just what will affect you guys. So it is a 5-year permit. So once Plastow is compliant, we're set for a bit. The MS4 permit is wrapping up year 5 as of June 30th, 2023. And is slated to be renewed this year for another 5-year term. And but since EPA won't be hitting the renewal date correctly, there will likely be an extent to the 5-year permit terms by a year or so. The MS4 permit structure and rules were last updated in 2017. It's called MS4 because of the acronym Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems. So that basically is a collection of structures, including retention basins, ditches, roadside inlets, and underground pipes designed to gather stormwater and discharge it without treatment into local streams and rivers. The MS4 permit itself is authorized under the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit program as a part of the Federal Clean Water Act. which aims to reduce pollution from stormwater runoff at the municipal level. So in summary, this permit applies to municipalities in urbanized areas, large federal and state-owned properties, institutions such as hospitals and universities. I have provided you a map just to show that all of Plastile is within the MS4 area. Kind of small, sorry. So
Just from a practical point of view, how does this affect, let's say, something off of Main Street or 121 with respect to, let's say, the Little River? You know, because I mean, if like you have, if you like the bridge going over the Little River, you'll have, let's say, you know, storm water and it's guided basically, I think, just runs off into the river or something like that.
yeah, so this doesn't affect or override any of the current zoning ordinances based off of wetlands and flood areas. So basically, one of the components that we have to address in here is the applicability and the threshold. So it's based off of project size, basically. So depending on how large a project is, how much impervious surface it's going to create, then these more stringent rules would kick in. Yes.
So within this, so that's good. I've never quite understood what MS4 even stand for. No, I thought it was like a gang or something. But so now that we have this, and I know, thankfully, Tim has been all over this for years, right? So what's the requirement from the board? What do we have to do this year, right? Do we have to? The town has to apply for the permit, so the board has to make sure that our zoning meets the requirements of MS4. Is that what we need to do as a board?
Yeah, so we just have to update the zoning ordinance, and it's not bad where it stands. When I started to look at it, I believe that a lot of the things that are in the zoning ordinance could get moved to the site plan review regulations. And there's a lot of stuff in the zoning ordinance that I'm not sure necessarily needs to be there. I would need to go back and forth and check if each individual thing that is mentioned corresponds with the new updates and is just as stringent. It could be more.
Did we meet the prior? I assume we met the prior MS4 requirements if we had our permit, right?
Yeah.
Tim, you look like you want to say something.
We filed a notice of intent to comply with to get the permit. And that was all done under the new MS4 permits that came online. Like Victoria mentioned, they're supposed to do it every 5 years, but it was about 15 years between the first one that was done in like 2003 and the next one was, I don't know, anyway, a long time in between. So what we need to do is, as Victoria mentioned, go through our stormwater ordinance and make sure that we have at least all of them, any of the new requirements there. And there's probably a lot of things that are in zoning that are better placed in subdivision and your site plan, so those we could strip out. It's probably better.
Yeah.
Would these all come out in the form of zoning amendments for next year?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we would have to deal with the site plan additions, which may not even be additions. It might just be moving things over.
Okay.
But we have to, RPC team is going to review the 7 core elements and make sure that what we currently have fits the elements on the new proposed. But the two big things that I want everyone to start thinking about is that threshold. So the size of projects that would need to go through this process, and then the responsibility of who's going to review. So who's going to review the projects and check to see if the applicant followed their approved plan? How often are they going to do that? Do we put that responsibility on the developer, or do we get the town involved in some way?
We have, oh my gosh, how can I not remember the engineers? Steve Keach,
Keach?
review all our plans. So he will be reviewing to make sure they comply with the MS4.
And then, so what's our threshold now? And what is a typical threshold that other towns have applied?
So that's going to be another conversation. This is just a start to think about it.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I do not remember what it currently is. Alteration of terrain is 100,000. I'm going to put together a list of what other communities have picked, and I'm going to try and find some bigger projects that Plaistow has gone through, just so that you can reorient yourselves. But just for now, I wanted everyone to be on the same page of what stormwater is, why is it bad, what I want you to think about moving forward.
Okay.
And also, I wanted everyone to know that it's not that bad.
And then ultimately, this will be a task that RPC team would work on, sort of bring to us. We would then talk about it in terms of zoning changes, zoning amendments that we'd propose. And ultimately, the changes that we make would be in order to comply with the current regulations so that we can then apply for the permit and show that we meet the current regulations, because our new zoning, any zoning amendments that pass bring us into compliance.
Yes, yeah, but it's not all on the planning department.
Sure.
The planning board. Just mostly those first two steps are on the planning board, and then the rest of the town has more responsibility
Okay.
to apply for the permit.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right.
Anyone have any more questions? I'm
I'm
gonna
good.
send a resource sheet too. I just didn't want it to get too complicated before I told you that it wasn't gonna be that bad. Because there's a lot of information on there again, but it doesn't all pertain to the planning board,
Okay.
which is very important to keep reminding yourself.
Does Plaistow have a policy of grandfathering, let's say the regulations of the site plan is implemented under? Meaning if they had a site plan, but they haven't done, let's say, any type of construction in a period of time, and then we update, let's say, our floodwater requirements here. At what point does somebody, well, they've gotten site plan approval, at what point do they have to take into account the new regulation that's might be coming into effect? If there's been, if there's been a
Never.
substantial lag time between approval and then implementation.
It's only when they're required to go to the planning board for site plan approval for the already established reasons. So if they were going to do any big changes or change the use, then they would have to come back.
So if we approved a plan last year, but they didn't build anything, and then we put these new rules into effect, they're just bound by what was in effect when they get the approval, not by what comes into play because they haven't started building yet.
Yeah, they are. They'll be grandfathered in unless they want to submit a new site plan for whatever reason.
That grandfathering isn't have a duration. I mean, I understand that it's grandfathered, but is that for X number of years or something like that?
No,
Or is it
previous
in
projects that have already been
generically
approved are
grandfathered?
in the clear.
Okay.
Unless, of course, they need to make any substantial changes that need to be seen by the planning board.
Would that be a property that's been sitting around for 15 years or so, 12 years?
And these are only huge, like, these are only pretty large projects.
There are some vesting requirements that if the applicant gets through a certain percentage of the project that's depicted in our vesting requirements, then they're all set. If this vesting starts once we've approved it, so it really applies to the.
I get you.
If they don't do anything, then they get the site plan approved, it gets approved, and nothing happens. Then if the subdivision zoning changes, and the vesting period has expired, then they're subject to applying the new zoning. So, yeah, there's a few cases that kind of stretch the vesting kind of to the limit. So then you have to ask yourself, what's the benefit, what's the harm to the town, to the applicant? Just to have them redo it for the sake of it doesn't accomplish
Yeah.
much. Then you really need to look at it case by case.
All right. Beautiful. Great. Anything else?
No.
Thank you for that. And then I assume you'll bring stuff to us as we move forward. Okay. All right. With that, we have, we can review the board's rules of procedure. And it looks like, Tim, this printout here, is this basically what you had worked on?
Yeah.
Okay. And so thanks to Tim for going back and looking through what we had discussed and drafting it appropriately. So what we'll do is we'll just go to the actual changes that were implemented. As noted, if it's struck out, it's a deletion. If it's added, it's just in bold and red. So I think we just need to read this one today and then vote on them, correct?
Yeah, this would be considered the second reading.
Okay. So on page 4, we have under organization, section C, committee and commission memberships. Section 1, I'm going to read this. The board shall make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen of a representative to serve on the Rockingham Planning Commission, RPC, in accordance with RSA 3646-3. Representatives serve for a 4-year term. Section 2 is struck through, and it is now going to read, the board shall make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen for 2 representatives and 1 alternate to serve on the Rockingham Planning Commission's RPC in accordance with RSA 3646-3. The term shall be 4 years. Okay, I see what was done there. The first part was addition and subtraction. So section C will now read what I just read. For number 3, in this this saying, it is board shall appoint a member and an alternate member to serve on the capital improvements program, CIP committee, in addition to the chair of the board or the chair's designee. The chair of the board or the chair's designee shall serve as the chair or of the CIP committee. A board member or board alternate member may serve on the CIP committee as either a member or alternate member. The term shall be 1 year. Are we going to read all these through and then vote all at once, or do we vote as we go?
I mean, since there's so few,
Okay.
There's only one left.
All right, on page, I don't think it has a page. It would be page 7. It would be number 18. That is part of the planning staff, it looks like, correct? Number 18, work with the chair on an annual review of the Plaistow zoning ordinance, site plan review, and subdivision regulations. And regarding meetings, there's nothing there. That was it, right? Just those two? Was there any other changes that the board wanted to make? I think that's it, right? Just because it's been discussed previously. Where was the thing about the legal requests? Does anybody remember that?
I think we talked about it. I don't know if we actually formalized
I
it.
think Tim was the one that pointed it out.
Yeah, it was probably under duties of the chair or responsibilities of the chair, I think. The chair shall I feel like there was something that designated where legal advice or
It did somewhere.
okay, I think it's on page 6, section 8, B.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so I guess this is maybe a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a gray area. It said when direct by the board in the correspondences of a legal nature pertaining to a specific application, the board may require the correspondence be reviewed and approved by the board attorney or other legal counsel as appropriate before the correspondence is sent. But this is just about correspondence. No correspondence shall be sent until reviewed and approved by the chair. So in essence, that sort of implies that any legal correspondence would be,
How about like you just having an E that says that legal correspondence will include the chair or something to that effect.
was there some other section where it was legal was maybe discussed?
I don't think so.
Well, this was the second reading. We should probably approve everything you said, right? And then if there's something else we see, we can always go back again.
Yeah,
right?
there's no requirement that says we're done, one and done.
Right, so we can go
change.
back to something else to make sure that's the section you want, but I think we should approve what you just read for the second time, then
Sure.
we're there. And then let's really figure out, what it is, the section that you're looking for.
Yep. All right. So good idea. You want to make a motion to accept the
Yep.
changes?
I will make the
As
motion to accept the changes as read.
Second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Chuck seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. Motion passes 5-0-0. All right. So regarding that, just for clarification, it sounds like we've kind of got things covered, but maybe not specifically outlined. I think it's kind of covered in a few different sections of our policies and procedures. So review and board. So it's probably be under page 5, 225-4 duties, where it says chair of the board. Unless we do put it under page 6 under section 8, which is prepare correspondence as directed by the chair of the board. In essence, that section covers anything, right? If someone was to reach out to Attorney Cleary requesting his presence, that section covers it. But it might be appropriate to sort of really pinpoint exactly that that's the intent. So we could put it under section 8, like you said, like Richard said in E. Something along the lines of legal requests shall be sent by the chair upon request by the board or approved by the board chair. Something along those lines. Anybody have a better shot at it? Request for legal assistance.
I mean, it's almost going to be like a subset of B.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's to the effect that.
I think B was what we said was pretty much covered it.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, I could understand you were saying, or if it was something, but if it was something that was if there was some sort of correspondence about an application or anything to do with the board would have to, the chair should know about it, or at least be, apprised that it's happening. I mean,
I think to get what you're after almost requires a different section.
okay, number 19, apprised chair of all ongoing legal correspondence about planning board matters.
Well, wouldn't it fall under chair duties? So something to the effect of, when directed by the board, the chair shall invite, set up a legal counsel meeting or invite them to a future meeting, something like that. Wouldn't that be, when you're directed by your board, the chair would handle that? Is that where we're
Sort
getting
of like
to?
you're saying, like on page 5, under 225-4 duties, under A, chair of the board, the chair shall.
Yeah.
We would
Yeah,
have
your
like
duty is to
like a number 9.
bring legal in when you want.
I mean, isn't it?
You would be the go-between between the board and the legal counsel to get
Right.
them to
Yeah,
come to a meeting.
Yeah, you're the invite guy.
I mean, it would, I guess what I'm saying is that you would at least be passively notified, right? I mean, maybe you don't want to weigh in on everything, but I would think that you'd want to at least cross under your eyes that, oh yeah, we're talking about a particular application, like maybe that was just before us that we were talking about, and that you were apprised of it. But you don't necessarily have to say that, well, no, don't talk to legal about it or not. You just need to sort of know about it.
Shall request at the behest of the board. I don't know a better word for that. Shall communicate at the request of the board with legal representation and shall approve request to involve legal. Something like that.
I think I was probably less, just less hands-on. I was just thinking that you should not be blindsided by, legal correspondence about, planning board matters. That you would know that it's happening. And whether or not you, approve it or not, it's just that, oh yeah, we're seeking legal counsel with respect to this particular question. Okay. You know about it, satisfied. If you say no, then I guess you could have that discussion.
So we could make this a little bit more general and then specify because there are some things that say basically at the board's request that I make requests for things. And in this capacity would also include things like legal advice or legal representation. So
You would just know about it. So that we're not being informed at the tail end of the conversation that, particular applicant said X, Y, and Z, and then legal counsel said this, and then you're now precluded from saying anything because time's up.
all right, I guess, instead of holding everybody here, if anybody has some thoughts on it, I'll give it some thought, put it out at the next meeting, and then we'll come to a consensus. And we can add some section on that. If there's anything else, certainly feel free to bring it up, and we can also
Yeah,
throw
this
it in
is a
there.
document we can go back and look at anytime we want.
Anytime.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll move beyond that, but it sounds like this might be the appropriate place, either under chair of the board for duties, or more specific regarding communication and correspondence within the planning staff section. So,
Could probably tweak it on both ends.
yeah, that's true. Shall be the the chair shall be the liaison regarding legal request,
Yeah, what to do.
advice and
Think about it,
representation.
and so when you do it right, and the wording's where you want.
Got it.
Because right now we're spitballing.
Yep. All right. So old business. Anything else to address? Again, we're going to table economic development discussion until Jen can jump in, and we'll find the appropriate spot for that. Any new business stuff, Victoria, that you've got?
Oh, it's the stormwater.
Okay. Looks like there's a legal notice for our May 17th meeting for 6:30 p.m. There's appears to be 2 applications and a conceptual discussion. I believe PB 23-03, that would be a continuation, right? Unless that was a conceptual discussion previously. I don't recall. Is that a continuation? Anybody know off the top of their head?
Which one?
Is that the first one?
Yeah.
The one we're doing the site walk on?
It's the site.
Oh, that's right.
Sidewalk.
Got it. All right. So site walk, just for official discussion again, is, did we say 5:30
Yeah.
at the location, correct?
It's tough to do the site walk from a different location.
Oh, don't be a wise ass. Don't write that, Charlene.
Me?
It's on video.
Second one is new. I think that might have gone in front of the ZBA.
Yep,
Good.
it did.
And the third one is a conceptual discussion. Okay. Great. Anything else? Going once, going twice.
Wow.
All right.
Before 8:30?
We will close the meeting at 8:13 p.m. Thank you.